Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Michael Lingenfelter, owner and creator of Rider Remedy, where I help you get the most out of yourself so you can get the most out of the time you spend with your horse. And today we are joined by Natasha Althoff. She is an international Grand Prix dressage rider, world-renowned educator, and an inspiration to millions of riders. She is obsessed and passionate about helping riders be all they can be and achieve their dreams, which is why she created her online business, Your Riding Success, which has over 80,000 subscribers on YouTube and over 13 million views on her videos. Her belief and the core of her business is that riders can achieve their riding goals with the right support, love, and education to make it happen. Welcome to the show, Natasha.
Thank you. Very excited to be here and help your amazing community.
Yes, that's what we're all here for, right? To come together and help each other out and make each other better. So tell me, Natasha, how did you get here today and what motivated you to want to help others become the best riders that they can become?
Yeah, well, it first started off obviously as my personal journey, and I'm the first to say I don't have natural talent when it comes to riding. I don't have the personality really for a dressage rider. I'm very Aussie, near enough, good enough, mate. She'll be right, mate. That kind of philosophy, which when you come down the center line and you do a kind of straight center line, the judges get sensitive about that. Apparently they don't reward tens for that. So I had to rewire a lot of my normal instincts and my normal philosophies. And I really struggled and I was frustrated and I was sad and it was just a very painful journey for me. And when I finally reached, the pinnacle for me was I wanted to become a Grand Prix dressage rider. I finally reached that. I just wanted to help and serve and make it easier for everyone else coming along, because it shouldn't be it doesn't have to be hard and frustrating. It's a journey, but we can add fun and joy and playfulness to that journey. And no one taught me that, so I wanted to teach that to others.
So I think this is a good time to bring up one of the people in my community asked if there's any length of time that you cannot ride. Do you have any favorite either mental, emotional, or physical activities that you do in lieu of riding that help you make the best of your time when you get back in the saddle, you're ready to go again?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really funny you asked that question. A couple of years ago, I came up with, I was jet lagged and it was 3 a.m. in the morning and I just had to get up and start writing. And I came up with this thing that I called Equinection, which was about how can I improve my body physically? How can I improve my my brain mentally? And how can I take my whole experience of how I experience my world in times, like you can call it the spirit. How can I take my connection with those three things so I can connect to my horse at a deeper level? So it was like, okay, if I can get my core stronger, I can plug in my seat bones better and I can sit deeper and I can, connect actually physically to my horse. And I also need a cardiovascular strength to be able to do that. If I'm not fit enough, I'm not going to be able to keep those muscles where they need to be for like my sitting trot. And I also needed to have some suppleness and some, stretching ability. If my muscles were too tight and short, then obviously I can't wrap my legs around the horse and stretch up, stretch down and be nice and tall. So that was the physicality part of it. But then I got really interested also in the mental side of it. And I feel as a rider, we have to step into like the Zen Buddhist monk. And you don't know me yet, but I am the opposite of a Zen Buddhist monk. I'm la 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 la. I'm a bit crazy. I'm really full on. I'm like, talk with my hands. I'm very hypo. No, hyper. Hyper is the up one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, again, going against my natural instinct, when you become a dressage rider, it's all about no past, no future. It's all about ever moments of now. It's not about worrying about what I did or if I stuffed up the transition last time. And it's not about worrying what will my horse do or what will happen if I don't get this right next time. It's just about being in the moment. It's about feeding and connecting to your horse. You don't have time when you're riding to go, the horse is doing this. So I wonder, should I do this? Yeah, let's do this. Let's now apply leg. That takes too long. We have to feel, react the whole time. So having our brains quiet and having the ability to enter the zone and enter that space where, you know, time and space cease to exist and we are just, you know, feeling and breathing with our horse. Also, I think is really important. So the best thing about all those things is you can work on that off the horse. You can work on your core strength. You can work on your cardiovascular. You can work on your stretching. Then you can also work on entering the zone. You can work on meditation. You can work on all this mental stuff to, as I said, equinect, to connect with your horse at that deeper level.
I'm obviously a huge proponent of off the saddle work because
Yeah,
I mean, like
it's huge.
any athlete, you've got your work in your skill and you have your work to prepare you for the skill and to build a body and mind that is resilient and resistant and able to handle everything you're about to do. So when you came into, you mentioned the mindset part of it, and I came across and noticed that you have this whole mastery of fear. How do you go about working with people and taking them through those fears into the other side?
Yeah, well, I got backed off one of my stallions and broke a bone in my back, so I absolutely know that feeling of like, yeah. And some people are born with their fear. A lot of people there, and other people have something happen and they're scared, and other people don't even have something happen. They might have kids, or they might just have a break, and all of a sudden. And so I got really, really curious about that, like just curious. And so that fed me into a whole area of studying NLP, studying coaching, studying life coaching, sports coaching, relationship coaching, just getting obsessed really with coaching and language and communication. And NLP is all about, you know, what do we do in our brains? And then I applied all of that and totally overcame my fear with my riding. And same thing, I just went, well, that's like, to me, I ride because I'm a 3-year-old girl that loves ponies. And and they make me feel free, and they give me fun, and they give me joy, and that's what I feel it does for most people. So when the fear, I get really angry, like I get really full on that this fear, I won't swear, but this fear thing comes in and stops us and blocks us from feeling the fun, feeling the freedom, feeling the joy that we want to have, and robs us of all of that. So it just became my mission on the planet to help as many people as possible, whoever's being affected by fear, that because it's their creation. I know they're not going to like that. And I know I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying it's your fault. Absolutely not. But you created it in your brain based on what happened to you. You made it mean certain things, which then created neuro grooves. And you know, our brain, it's doing our best. It wants to keep us safe. It wants to keep us protected. It's looking after us. Thank you. Yeah. But we're not in Clan of the Cave Bear now. We don't need a lot of its instinct things to do. So, but no one teaches this. No one teaches this in school. Hey, when I'm scared of something that actually logically isn't something to be afraid of, what do I do neurologically to change that? I don't know about you, but I didn't go to that class in school. So I learned about it outside of school, and then it's just become my mission to help other people with those skills. And as most people say when they go through the program, oh, doesn't just help in horses, it helps in my entire existence. I'm like, yaha, because I don't want to just help people in one area. I want to give them everything. I want them to just live life full out, as big as they can, with as much fun, love, and joy as possible.
That is fantastic. And it is so true. I felt like I have, at a younger age, I noticed that the few times I jumped and did something that was fearful, that I knew in the back of my mind that, like, oh, this thing would be super helpful. But for some reason, I'm either fearful of someone judging me, not pulling through and completing it, and how I would judge myself, that I'm kind of hesitant to jump in and do this thing. But getting over that fear, I now almost like search for that moment of like, okay, what should I be doing? And if I feel uncomfortable, I need to jump now and do this thing before I talk myself out of it, because I will. So I love that you've taken this component of fear in the moment in the saddle, and getting through that and understanding that is also going to have a massive carryover effect to all these other areas in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know for me too, anytime I'm trying to bring someone in and they've wanted to improve themselves in a way, and they know they need to do something different, I've seen so many times people talk themselves out of doing something that they know is right for them.
Ooh, and that's where I get really fired up. That's not okay. I'm going to fight for them. I'm going to fight as hard as I can for them. For there's so much more on that other side.
How do you
Yeah.
get through to that person? What does that fight look like for you? Where do you come from?
Oh, well, I'm a coach, so I'm very also like I can get fired up, but if they're not willing to create the change or if they're not willing to explore another version, I have to totally respect where they're at and totally get that. But if they're going, okay, I do want that, I just don't know how, or I don't, I'm scared to, or I don't know, help, then, I'm all in, baby. And I will do everything I can to shift that for them.
I love it. I think one of my coaches said it best, where when I was fearful to get uncomfortable myself and really go out on a limb to help this person and be aggressive with that, he was like, if you saw someone in a burning building, would you do everything you could to go save that person? I'm like, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't be afraid of what I had to do to get that person out of the burning building. I'm getting them out of there. I love it.
Yeah.
And so I know there's more than just the fear component that goes into all of this. So what would you consider the key components to attributing your success with relationships to the horses that you ride?
So sorry, what's the question? What do I think is the biggest thing that I've been successful in the dressage arena, or?
What are the key components that you attribute to your own success in having a good relationship with your horse or your partner? So if someone came to you and said,
Yeah.
hey, I want to have this great relationship, what are some of the key components that you believe? We talked about fear. I'm sure there's some others as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm very much very in my life and in my writing. I need to keep a playfulness about it. Again, back in my past, I with the frustration came because I just wanted the answer. 1 + 1 = 2. And nothing frustrated me more when riding a horse when 1 + 1 = 5, and then it equaled 7, and then it equaled -2. And I was just like, what number does it equal? And I'd be so angry at my coach. I'd go, just tell me, is it 10 grams or a kilo? How much weight do you want in my reins? And she's like, well, there's no answer there, and I was like, so the ability of me to let go of the need to know and what is the right or the wrong way, to where I am now with this playful irreverence of, I don't know, let's go find out. Let's go on the journey. Let's discover. Let's play. Let's, today might be this, tomorrow might be that, and that's okay. That was huge because back in my past, I didn't have that. And I just stopped myself. Having to need to get it right blocks you so much in your progress. Not being okay to fail, is such an inhibitor of progress. And there was no playfulness. There was this forcing and get it right and do it now. Whereas now it's like, oh, well, we'll see what happens. Will we, if I'm training a horse and flying changes, I don't know, we might get it today, we might get it in 3 years. And either is fine because it'll be fun either way because we're just going to play with it and have fun with it and see what happens.
How
But
do you
that
balance
was
that
the journey.
with the goal setting? Because that is, I feel like that there it is right there, right?
Oh.
uh-huh.
You can't. So I set all the goals with the horses and I have all the plans and I'm okay for it never to happen. So it's wanting it and going for it and planning for it with a complete dissociation and unattachment to the outcome. So I'm very clear on outcome, but totally unattached if it's never achieved.
Got it. Well, that's the day, right? It's in the journey, which is so true, because you can always change that goal too. It doesn't just because you set a goal. If you achieved it, if you did it, I'm sure you're going to want to set another goal after that. So that was my question, because it's like, yes, I have a very hard time with that playful mindset. Like, I need to know right and wrong. Give me the system. Give me the solution. I got it. But then at the same time, it can cause frustration and it can cause you to not enjoy it. And that's the whole point of it, is to enjoy it. And so my curiosity comes from, okay, you've got this intentional goal setting. How do we mesh that with the playfulness and just being okay with the outcomes maybe we can't control that don't let us get there? So I like that I'm going to set these goals, but at the same time, I'm going to enjoy all of this, and it's about all of this. And if I don't get here, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And I know there's a health component to what you are doing as well, and what you offer with riders. And so one of the what is the diet that you follow, or what kind of foods or approach do you take to? I was about to say I would trigger you if I just say it that way, right? What is your approach to what you consume in nutrition?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I get fascinated about. I actually went to university and studied nutrition. And I remember in one of our classes, we were studying obesity and stomach stapling or banding. And they were talking about a man who was so terrified of being thin that he would melt down butter and lard and drink it, even though he had had the stomach stapling. And that just, I was obsessed. I was like, wow. I like, if I wasn't doing horse riding, I would be in psychology and in with nutrition, because I just found that so fascinating. And I do find most of us know what we should eat. Most of us know what we should do, but we don't always do it. And that's that mindset again. So I'm super curious and I've read over 200 books in the last 2 years around health and nutrition and around addiction and around, the neurochemicals and why, we go for the sugar or the cigarettes or the alcohol, whatever it is that we know, I assume everyone's goal is to live a really long time with energy and vitality and vibrancy and health. But then we do certain behaviors that don't align with that goal. And I'm obsessed with that. So I find that really, really curious. In terms of what do I put in my own nutrition? Well, you've never been to Australia, so you've never heard of this amazing chocolate biscuit called a Tim Tam.
I've heard of it. I have heard of it.
Everyone has it.
So your diet consists of all Tim Tam.
Pretty much. That's what my diet wants to consist of. And in my 20s, it literally was. I would get up, I'd eat a Tim Tam. That was breakfast, another Tim Tam for lunch, and maybe some meat and veg for dinner. As I've gotten older, I can't get away with that anymore. And like I said, that then became this whole search of, and it is frustrating, I find. Like, no one has landed on the ideal diet for a human being. There's certainly a million different theories, and you can go keto and you can go carnivore or you can go vegan. I find it all fascinating. And where I've landed is, well, it doesn't matter which diet you follow, non-processed is good to go. So and my husband's very into health and nutrition and gym. So both of us and the family, we try and go no non-processed as much as possible. But those chemicals and those high fructose corn syrup and those Tim Tams are really, really good. So it's for me understanding that, I understand that that's not a good food to put into my body. And I'm making a conscious choice to, enjoy that food or enjoy that moment, but that's not sustainable to do every day or every hour of every day, because that's not going to be aligned with my goals.
So you're saying your mindset has something to do with it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find it amazing, that our brains can hold two things at the same time. Like, we want to be X in our health, but we want the cookie or the cigarette or the whatever it is. And I go, wow, that's a conflict. And then we're in pain.
Satisfaction, long-term, kind of what we desire, but this one seems to win out unless we've really got a strong reason why here.
Absolutely. It's all about that reason why. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty great. It almost seems like this same pattern that you see through everything that, that all these different components, whether it's your health, what you're eating, whether it's the physicality, whether it's the fear, you logically know all the information's out there. We all know what we should be doing, most of it. But again, it's identifying what are the triggers, what are the causes, and how do we go about changing our identity with food, our identity with fear, our identity with our fitness. Because there's so many times that, like, I'll see people and they're like, I'm just not someone who exercises. I'm like, where'd you come up with that? Like, you've created that on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, actually, it's created normally between the ages of 2 and 7. And when you say, so you're going around with a 3-year-old manual, they get all offended. But it's like, well, hang on, you get to challenge. You get to go, that used to be me, but now this is me. And then you start having a conversation around change, and people, again, why do they have it? Why is there a resistance to change? Why is it a bad thing?
Awesome. And so I also noticed that it said that up until 8 you were 8 months pregnant, you were still riding. And then 10 days after giving birth, you were back in the saddle. So I think this is a great question for a lot of people. How did you go about getting back in shape so quickly after you gave birth?
I wasn't in shape. I still had stitches.
That's a good truth. Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, wow. I mean, this is a whole other thing, but I was not ready for motherhood. What? I was someone that slept for like 9 hours a night, and then I was like, what? I'm awake every hour. Oh, I struggled. And all of a sudden, I was responsible for this tiny little thing, and only I could do it. My husband couldn't breastfeed it. No one else could feed it. No one else could do anything. And what really frustrated me, you women will understand this. My husband, like, the child's right there crying. This is when we're sleeping, and he doesn't wake up. Like he just doesn't hear it. Whereas, the child just has to go, and I'm like, what? And it's this instinct thing. So I'm exhausted. Oh my God, everything about my life is not so good at that moment. So I was desperate to get back in the saddle, for me to be me, Natasha, not a mother. I didn't want to be a mother at that point. I wanted to be Natasha. And for that half hour, I'd feed the baby, and then I'd give it to my husband, or give it to his mum, or whatever, just give it to someone. And then I got to be me again, because I didn't feel I was me when I was a mother at the start. I was just like, life's over. Can I go back to what I used to be? And so it wasn't for any other reason that, selfish for me to be me again. But yeah, I had stitches in. I couldn't ride. Your stomach separates. There was no abs left. I'm bouncing around. I'm like, ah! But I knew it was going to get better if I kept doing it. So every day I was like, I have to ride.
That's great. It's crazy how much trauma goes about, or how much trauma and change there is in the body. I know with majority of the people that I come in, I always have an assessment with them, and we look at previous injuries. And whenever I ask them about, how many kids have you had any kids? And they're like, yeah, 2 or 3, but that was a long time ago. I'm like, wait a minute. There's so much that happens within that time that creates compensations long-term if you don't address these things, and the trauma and stress that the body goes through. Like, this is a big thing. So for you to get back into the saddle that quick, I just couldn't even imagine what that would have felt like compared to your normal beforehand. So
yeah, and then you're dealing with it. There was so much, not depression, but like a loss. You had to mourn the loss. I wasn't the woman I was before. I didn't have the body I had before. I didn't have the physicality I had before. But I also had a deep commitment. Freaking hell, I'm gonna get it back. I'm gonna get that back.
Yeah, and you did.
Yeah, but yes.
So I feel like a lot of the riders that come into my world are also coming into my world because as you're aging, you start to become aware of the things in your body that once were little nuances and now are becoming sometimes things that are stopping you from enjoying riding or potentially riding altogether. What advice would you give someone that is going through the aging process to help them continue to enjoy, or to ensure that they're able to continue to enjoy riding as they continue to age?
Yeah, such a good question. I guess the first thing is, this is now time for work. Again, we're not taught in school that health is something that we need to work on, and we should like they didn't teach us that. We were young, and we just thought our bodies would always move like this and work like this, and no one prepared me, and that's what I tell my kids. I go, oh, it's so cool, you can eat whatever you want, and they eat all day. Kids, I'm hungry, and you just shoveling food. One day my daughter ate like 8 bananas. I was just like, oh my God. But she was obviously in a growth spurt. She knew what she needed. And I prepared them. I go, you know what? You should eat. You're growing. Like, look how tall you've gotten and look what you're doing. You need to have that food. But there'll come a point where you don't need that anymore. So I'm already preparing them because I wasn't prepared. I just thought I'll always be able to eat 20 Tim Tams, and that's just normal, and that gives me energy, and I could sustain on that. But I think it's growing up and accepting the responsibility that if we want to have energy and if we want to have vibrancy, if we want to do the things that we want to do, we need to look after that. And there's just that responsibility. We have to move every day. We have to eat well every day. And then seeking out people like yourself. If there is a niggle, exactly as you said, if there is a niggle, then let's fix the niggle. Let's not ignore what our body's telling us. If our body's speaking to us or saying it needs something or saying it needs something to stop, let's fix that. And my husband, again, he's really into his health, and he has a thing every year. He's 39, he's turning 40 next year. And his biggest belief is every year I get better. Every year I get fitter. Every year I get sexier. Every year I get leaner. And he's already lean, like he's hot. But he is like every
Good for
year.
you. Good for you.
Good for him. And then I'm like, and I'm not really following that projection. I need to get on board with that because the divide's getting bigger. But yeah, I think understanding the responsibility, taking on that responsibility, and if you can get into that mindset of every year, and then I always ask the question, well, if I was to be better or fitter or healthier than I was last year, what would I have to do? What would change? What would I get rid of? What would I bring in? And ask yourselves that kind of higher quality question should, uncover some answers. And understand then if you don't do that, be really clear on the consequence of that choice. You won't maybe be able to ride, or you won't be able to have that flexibility or that supplement. So it's your choice. You don't have to do it. It's all cool. But there's a consequence to every choice we make. And I think that's where people, they go, oh, that's later, the later problem. I'm like, bring that right in front of you. Yeah. Bring that right in and be okay with that. And if you're not okay, make a change.
Yeah, I think it's super important to have those, what we'll call courageous conversations with others and help them recognize that there's a cost associated either way. You can choose to spend time and money in holding on to or improving things, or you're going to have a cost later on to try to get back to hopefully this point that you decided not to make a decision at.
I say it a little bit meaner. I go, do we swear on this one?
Sure.
What's a bad? Yeah, okay. I'll try and use a softening word, but I go, it's like a shit choice or a shit choice. Like I go, I really want to eat Tim Tams, but then I'll won't fit into my white breeches and I won't have the energy I want to. So that's a really shit choice. Or I don't eat Tim Tams and I can fit into my white breeches and I have energy, but I don't have Tim Tams. I'm like, they're both shit. Like I'm not happy with either of them. But then you go, well, so acknowledging that and going, well, where's the choice where I can eat Tim Tams and have energy and fit into my white breeches? Where's that choice? And if you're clear that choice is not an option, you got to look at your other two options then and make the choice that's right for you.
That's awesome. And one of those takes work. The other one doesn't. Well, I lied. There's a lot of work that comes along with that later on.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm going to steal that from you. I'm going to take that. That's a great way to put it into perspective, because neither of them are great choices, like you said.
Yeah, and everyone's looking for the silver bullet. Where's the choice where you can have it both? And I think when you grow up and take responsibility, there's no good choice that you can then deal with the choices that are available to you. But I'm very into positivity and optimism, but I'm like, yeah, that's the reality. That's the, there is no magic. It doesn't matter who you are on the planet. They haven't invented that kind of magic yet.
Yeah. Still holding out.
Yeah.
There's so many promises. I see them all the time on TV. But if they worked, everyone would have them.
That's it.
So those are some great insight and some powerful stuff there. I've got a few questions that I would like to go kind of like rapid fire. These are ones that are coming from others. And so the first being, are you going to be offering or creating your dream writing plan program again?
My dream writing program again. I'm not sure what that is.
Someone just asked there must have been a dream writing plan program.
I think I had a dream team years ago. So, no, I haven't thought about bringing the dream team back, but sounds like someone's interested. So I'll give it a thought.
What was the dream team?
Back when it was happening, it was every quarter people would come to my house and we would ride and we would do seminars and we would do mindset and fear and competition and really take, commit as a year to here's where we're starting and here's our goals, lots of goal setting and then a commitment to achieving our goals within those 12 months.
Got it. So it sounded like you then figured out a way how to make that more accessible just to a handfuls of people that could come to you. Now there's a way.
Yeah. I started off just thinking Australia, and now I'm going, I need to help everyone. Everyone's got to have some more fun, love, and joy.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's the same thing here. It's like your time gets maxed out. My time got maxed out a few years ago, and it's like, okay, well, I can only spend my time with so many people, and that's maxed out. How do we reach more people? Because you see that, I'm sure the people that are with you get this awesome benefit, more joy, love, playfulness, and so you want to share that with more. So I understand that. So you always wanted to be the first person to ride a Frisian in the Olympics. Is that still a goal for you?
It is, as I said, like I've got a lot of goals. I've got that goal, and I've also got a goal for a gold medal at the Olympics. Now, whether or not the Frisian can deliver the gold is still undetermined. So now I'm riding warm bloods and Frisians and playing full out at both those goals.
Awesome.
And seeing what happens, and being okay
happens.
with none of it happening, and we'll see how we go.
We'll be okay with it.
Yeah.
Lastly, what are some exercises to develop the contact and feel of the reins without dropping or pulling?
Without dropping or pulling. Well, yeah, that is the essence. If you don't drop the contact and if you don't pull too hard on the contact, you are therefore keeping the contact. And my analogy is, take your hand and put it on your arm. Now you can grip your arm and be a really tight grip, or you can take your hand off. Either one is well, this one isn't a contact, so you've dropped the contact. Now I can be tight or I can be completely soft, and I'm completely soft. I'm like 1 gram of my hand onto my arm, but it's still there. So that's what I always think of with the contact. I will always keep my hand on my arm. So I will always keep the contact. I will feel the horse's mouth, and I will roll the bit over the tongue, and I will feel that delicate. And I think of a connection like a spider web. It's that delicate. It's that sensitive. It's that, so that's as light as I want it. But sometimes, it will have to be strong. Sometimes the horse will be heavy. Sometimes the horse will have to be unblocked. Sometimes the horse will have to be moved. So the contact always changes. But as long as I remain contact with the mouth, then that's the point. That's the goal. And that took me years to get. I would take give. I'd either have contact or not have contact. What do you mean maintain contact? Did my head in.
A little bit of time spent there, huh?
Just a little.
I see why people are drawn. You are a very good storyteller. It is very entertaining.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything throughout this conversation that I did not ask you that I should have?
Oh, I like it. No, I don't think so. I think you've been very thorough.
Okay. And so before we get off, is there any other closing words or recommendations or thoughts you'd like to impart on my audience before we close out this conversation?
I think I'd just like your audience to remember how extraordinary they are, how amazing they are, how much power they have, and that they are in control, whether they think it or not, because they are in control of what they think. So if you think that you aren't, then you can also think that you are. And I know that I don't want to be one of those speakers, that just sound off the what are they called? The quotes. It's not about quote. I need you to resonate and believe. There was a time in your life where you realized how awesome you were, and when you realized how powerful you were, and when you were in your power, and when you stepped into your power, and along the way people tried to take that from you, and they tried to tell you that wasn't okay, and you shouldn't be like that, you should be more like your brother, and nice girls are seen and not heard, and go to your room if you're going to speak to me like that. And all of that created a new version of reality where you got smaller, And I want you to just consider, if none of that happened, and if you had amnesia and you woke up today, who would you be and how would you be and how would you go about your life? And I think, yeah, that's what I would like to leave them with.
That is an awesome exercise. And I heard it earlier today. The most expensive and costly thing you could lose is hope.
Oh, so true. Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
I think that is a fantastic exercise to kind of pull you out of this place where you might be, to recognize your potential and your power, like you mentioned. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that very much. And can you let everybody know where they can go and find you and find your stuff? I mean, I'll add it into the description of this, but where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, it's just yourwritingsuccess.com. And I've got a couple of free web classes. I'll send you the links. I'm not quite sure where they are. And if people are interested in getting some more free information, they can do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Natasha, for taking the time with
My
me. And I
absolute pleasure.
thoroughly enjoyed this. I wish you the best of luck, and I know my audience and all these writers are going to listen to this and really grab hold on to it, because you've got a very fun personality that just draws people in, and I can see why you get success with your writers, because not only do you have the knowledge, but you also have the personality and the true caring to push them forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you.